This is my first video in the new house. Um, Today I wanted to, first of all, you know what I'm saying, it's quarter color. I know I don't make videos all that often. I just wanted to go ahead and, make this video. I don't really even really know why. I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of the videos I make are shitty, like shitpost videos, but, um, I watched the live action Death Note video today. And by video, I mean movie, because I'm a fucking moron. But, I watched the live action Death Note, and before you guys before I get into this whole thing, Death Note is probably my favorite anime of all time. I've rewatched that series, like I want to series like seriously say probably like 8 or 9 times. I've seen like the whole series. Um, Easily one of, if not my favorite anime ever. And when I saw that they were making a live action movie, at first I was kind of like, okay, cool, like that's cool. I think that that's good for this, like the culture of anime, and like getting people involved with fucking like the just like the whole culture of it, and like being able to bridge a Western audience into an Eastern medium. And I thought that was cool, so I was like, all right, I'm not gonna judge it too harshly off rip. And as some of the trailers started to come out, it was looking a little shaky. um I gotta be honest, it was looking just really shaky. But at the same time, I was like, okay, still, this is still a good thing. This bridges a Western audience into an Eastern medium. So I didn't really like. I didn't shit on it before seeing it. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I didn't give a fuck, um, about this shitty video or the shitty movie. I was like, whatever. Like I don't even have to like it if it can potentially bring people into the anime community. That's cool, whatever. And not to say that I'm really huge into the anime community, because I've only seen a handful. But um, the point I'm trying to make is I understood the implications of the movie. So I sat down with a couple buddies today and I watched it. And as expected, it didn't. It didn't even keep the initial core of the show, of the anime, really. Like it did. Like there's a Death Note, and he's using it to kill criminals, right? Like it's like that is there, but like pretty much all the characters are vastly different from how they are in the anime, which again isn't a big deal. I think that a retelling of that story is fine. Like I wasn't expecting to go in and get the same exact story about Light Yagami and like going through that, all of that. That's not what I expected, but it just like, I don't know, it just felt weird. Cuz I thought like I said earlier, like the core. I thought they would keep the core of the characters very similar. And particularly with Light and L, their core seems really different. L seems a lot more emotional, and Light seems a lot more. He seems a lot more like a teenager, because in the anime he's very much so like he feels like he's a god, and he like acts that part. Whereas in this show he kind of seems like a kid who got in over his head, or this movie rather. Sorry, he kind of seems like a kid who like got in over his head almost. Uh, and in the movie's defense, I think if you're trying to bridge into a Western audience, the Western audience is going to relate far more to a teenage love story, which, spoilers, I'll put a spoiler warning at the beginning, but it's kind of more of a teenage love story than it is anything, this movie. And like where that's not a big deal, like, cause like I said, I understand that like you're trying to appeal to America here, America, Canada, you know what I mean? Like us. And I think in the age bracket they're going for, that type of story definitely lends itself more to us. But it seems like this was almost the right, or the wrong like anime to use, because that's just, it changes so much about the character, it changes so much about the motivations, it changes so much about everything, especially when you make L far more emotional. Because in the anime, spoilers for the anime, I guess, so you're kind of an idiot if you haven't seen it at this point. Like the in the anime, L, while he's not completely unempathetic. He's not like a sociopath or anything. He sacrifices his emotions for the sake of justice, right? And in this movie, again, spoilers, they kind of toss that out. Like there's a scene where, this is major spoilers for the movie. I'm going to put this at the beginning, but just in case you're listening to me right now and you have not seen the movie, don't listen to what I'm about to tell you. It's a major spoiler. Do not get mad at me. At one point in the movie, Watari dies. L's like I don't know what you would call him, handler, I guess. Watari, he dies, and that kind of sends L over the edge in the context of the movie, and he starts chasing Light around the city like with a gun, like preparing to kill him. And even in the final sequence of the movie, there's like a part where he finds a piece of the Death Note that Light's been using, and almost writes his name in it. And like that's just not something L would do. L wouldn't. Neither of those things would the L from the anime even consider. And it seems so odd to divert so far from the core of the character. Like that's what I'm trying to point out. Like changes to the character don't matter to me, but like the core I feel like should at least be there. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making that make sense, but that didn't feel like L. Or actually, the guy who played L in the middle part of the movie, like the kind of like the build up sections where they just first introduced him, I think he did a really good job of playing L and like giving you that that like super genius weirdo vibe. I think he did a great job. But at the end, like the parts I told you, that doesn't feel like L. Light didn't feel like Light. Light didn't feel like this conniving, like smart genius kid. He didn't feel like Kira, which is like, you know who Kira is, obviously. And then Misa, like, that's what I was going to say. Like, him and Misa, who in this movie, her name is Mia Sutton, I think. Excuse me. Him and Mia, or Misa, they have like an actual relationship. Like, they both mutually decide, you know. And while that's not Light. Like, Light is very similar to L in that he would sacrifice his emotion for justice. So his feelings of Misa Amane, like in the anime, didn't matter. Right? Like, I mean, granted, I don't think he cared for her at all from a relationship standpoint, but even if he did, he would have set that aside for what he felt was the greater good. And in this movie, it doesn't feel like he's trying to do that. So like I said, I think the movie, honestly, if I'd never seen Death Note before, I think I still would have thought this movie wasn't very good. It's paced pretty awkwardly. Like, and it's overly graphic for no reason. Like there's a part where he like says like guy dies by decapitation, and you literally see this guy's head just get like ripped off by a ladder. And it's like cool, you know, but like that's disgusting. And then again, like even when you talk about the characters, you talk about Ryuk, who I think Willem Dafoe did a great job. He only really voiced him. I thought they were kind of gonna rig him up in like a suit, maybe, but they pretty much fully CGI'd Ryuk. But he did a great job with the voice, and he sounded a lot like the American voice actor for Ryuk, actually, like almost to a T. And what they did with Ryuk was so weird because in the anime he's like indifferent to the whole situation. He doesn't care. But in this, they kind of make it to where like he just kind of passes this notebook around to people. Like his job is to like give the notebook to humans, and he kind of eggs them on to use it. And even like antagonizes their plans, which just doesn't fit the core of Ryuk from like a storytelling standpoint. I know I keep talking about the core of the characters, but that's why like I feel like in a remake, you still feel how the original show feels. Like I feel like I'm trying to think of a remake where that would be the case. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but like you still want to feel like those are the characters, you know, but in a different context, if that makes sense. Like it's not about telling the exact same story because I don't care. It's about these are my favorite characters in a retelling of that same, like not in a retelling, but in a rehashing of this universe. And it didn't feel that way. It felt like they used a bunch of names. They used the name Death Note to pull me in, me a fan of the show. I feel like they used the name to get people to watch this movie that loosely follows some of the things in Death Note. But I did go into it with a very open mind. And in the middle, like when you first meet L and they're just starting their investigation, I was like, wow, this movie could turn out pretty good. I have people who can attest to that. I was like, wow, this is not awful. This could shape up to be a good movie. And then you get to the ending, like the last 20, 25 minutes, and you're kind of sitting there like, wow, this is anticlimactic almost. It was it was rushed and the ending was undeserved. And that's the thing with me is when I feel an ending is undeserved, that's when the movie becomes bad to me. Like some examples of that, Suicide Squad, the ending of that movie is completely and utterly undeserved. Like, so, and the same thing with this movie. When you get to the end, and I'm not going to spoil the direct ending, I guess, but when you get to that ending and everything happens, you feel nothing. It feels like nobody won. Which I guess they could be using that to set up for a second movie, maybe, but I don't imagine this movie does very well from a review standpoint. One, because people who like the anime are going to shit on it regardless, which I don't think is fair. Or people like me who did give it a fair chance, and it's frankly still not that good of a movie. I can't imagine anybody thinking this movie was particularly great because it really, honestly, wasn't. But, like I said, I think if they would have done a better job of keeping the core and like making it feel like this is Death Note, but instead of Light Yagami, we have Light Turner and his dad James Turner and his girlfriend Mia. You know, like I just feel like if it wasn't so divergent, like it tried to be its own thing while wearing a Death Note mask when it should have been Death Note's sibling. Does that make sense? Like it felt like this was Death Note's cousin rather than Death Note's sibling. And I think it would have done much better being a sibling rather than being a cousin. So, I mean, I don't know. I just I saw some people talking about it on Twitter, and I didn't want to. This definitely couldn't have fit into 140 characters, so I just wanted to go ahead and say my piece on the movie. If you're a fan of Death Note, watch it, see what you think. Go in with an open mind, because like the middle part is honestly fairly entertaining. Like the middle part of it really did do a good job of like introducing you and like making you feel like this is Death Note. It's just the beginning and the end that feel nothing like Death Note. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say my piece. This is like the only serious video I'll probably ever upload, but thanks for watching. See you guys later.